Hello, funeral directors. My name is Tyler Fraser with UPD Earns. Thanks so much for joining us on this webinar. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Welton Hong of Ring Marketing, and Welton is one of the most accomplished and reputable internet marketers in the funeral profession today. He's all over LinkedIn. If you haven't seen him, he regularly posts on Facebook, if not every day, and works with some of the largest funeral homes in the country. And today's webinar, Welton's going to be talking to us about how to make your phone ring more and how to improve your presentation on the internet. So without further ado, here's Welton Hong with Ring Marketing.
Thank you, Tyler. Really appreciate your time. And I really appreciate the opportunity for me to educate your clients about what will work in 2020 to generate more at-need calls and pre-need calls from the internet. And let's jump right in. So first of all is having the opportunity to work with so many from small to very large funeral homes. And you got to be doing multi-channel marketing. If you go to MBA schools these days, a fancy word they like to throw around is omni-channel. That means you got to be doing both offline and online because they reach different demographics. And very often, offline traffic, they go online, right? If somebody saw one of your newspaper, TV, radio ad, for example, direct mail, they go online. They go on Google, they Google you, they look up your phone number, they look at your reviews, they go on your website. So these days you gotta to be doing both offline and online. And having been talking to a lot of funeral directors, there's so many different things you can do online, and they're getting confused. Their children might be asking them, hey, how come you're not on Facebook? Their funeral director friends might be like, hey, how come you're not running Facebook ads? How come you're not doing Google ads? How come you're not doing geofencing, right? So they're getting confused. So what I want to go over with you today is a proven framework on what will work in 2020 and also to give you a little bit heads up as to what's to come. And my job here today is to help you avoid shiny object syndrome. I want to show you what's been proven. And from an online marketing point of view, or just in general, any kind of marketing point of view, you can target those who are problem aware or to bring those who aren't aware of your service yet into awareness state. So it's very, very safe to do, to say for the at-need journey, you want to target those who are problem aware already. So let me give you an example. In the good old days, let's say 30 years ago, if you have leaky roof, in the good old days, what you do is you flip through the yellow pages, right? Go straight to R, and you go to roofing, and you'll see a bunch of ads on, right, on within the yellow pages. Now you're trying to figure out which one to call because you're problem aware. You're looking for a plumber. But present day, what you might do is you will go on Google, most likely via this device, and you might type in roofers near me, right? And that's not that different for the families, right? If imminent needs at needs, what they might do presently, if they do not know a firm yet, they go on Google. They might type in funeral home near me. Let's say if you're a funeral home in Baltimore, they might type in Baltimore funeral homes, Baltimore cremation services. So search really is a great tool to generate more imminent needs and at needs. And then, of course, you got to have a high converting website. And we'll go over shortly a checklist as to what you got to have on your website to turn those visitors into phone calls. And ideally, they just call you. But these days, what we've been seeing is before they call you, they want to check out your online reputation. So the more positive reviews you have on Google, Facebook, and Yelp, the more likely they're going to call you. So simply to grow the at need journey is actually digitally is very simple. Make sure you're found on first page of Google, whether paid or non-paid. I'll go over that shortly. You're targeting those with problemware, and of course you want to make sure you're found on desktop and mobile devices. Then have a high converting website and stellar reviews. Very simple. Then, if you want to grow pre-needs and then also to have to start planting seeds, right? That's called intent-based branding, right? So anything offline-wise, such as TV, radio, right, newspaper, all those are considered billboards. Those are considered intent-based branding ads because you're trying to plant a seed in them where you're trying to bring awareness. And that way, when they're ready, they become problemware, then they will call you, right? So digitally, that's where social media come into play. Very often people confused. They're like, hey, I've been doing social media and I haven't seen much increase or any increase in at-need calls because social media is better suited for pre-needs or to brand your funeral home. It's not meant, right, to grow at-needs. Okay, so basically we'll go over it in detail now. Okay, at-needs, simple. It's going to be search engine, high converting website, good reviews. Then if you want to grow the pre-need, then it's going to be social media, right? Right, that's really social media. Okay, so let's jump right in and talk about ad needs. So it's mainly going to be search. So if I go on Google, type in cremation services San Antonio, you will see 3 distinct sections on Google and all a little bit different. So I'm going to go in detail. Right at the top, these are Google ads. Very often you hear people call this pay-per-click ads, Google ads, PPC. These are ad placement. Right below that is local business search, which is very easy to identify. There's always a map tied to maximum of 3 business listings. And how in the world does Google know which of these, right? Let's say there's probably a lot of funeral homes in San Antonio. How does Google know which funeral home is the best? Of course, there's nobody from Google calling each of the funeral home and interviewing them, right? That does not happen. Anytime, actually, if anybody from Google calls you, it's so, right, easy just to hang up because those are all fake phone calls from Google. Those are spam phone calls, robocalls. They're not from Google, okay? And then right below that is organic search. Very often you might hear people call this SEO, search engine optimization. So what I want to really deep dive is look at each of these sections here. Paid and 2 sections that's non-paid, local business search and organic. These are non-paid. So let's talk about the paid ads first. So if you look at Google Ads, there's maximum of 4 ads right at the top. There's only 4. And if you look at how this is shaping out, is we all know Google is a for-profit business, right? It's not a non-profit organization. So it really is working hard to make sure more consumers are actually clicking on these ads. Thus, you can see these ads are getting bigger and bigger to the point it is pushing the map listing, which is non-paid, further down, right? One more example here. If I type in Chicago cremation, now you will see right? 3 ads, but look at this. This is all the way further getting pushed down the non-paid section. What's even worse is mobile device. If I do a mobile search typing in funeral home San Antonio, you'll see the first thing that you'll see are ads. And that first ad take out the whole real estate. So unfortunately, even Google is becoming a pay-to-play model now, right? And that's what a lot of discounters do is whenever they open it up, they throw right Google ads and then start making their phone ring. And people typically do not click around for fun for funeral related services, right? Cremation San Antonio, you'll see these are just ads. Now you have to swipe a couple swipes down before you actually see the non-paid section, the map and organic search. And I'm not loving this, by the way, right? As a consumer, I don't like this. All I see are just ads now. But, right, Google needs to make money. So how do these ads work? First of all is you got to target wisely because you're paying for these clicks. You're not paying whenever the ads show up. You're paying whenever somebody click on your ad. But even that, you want to make sure you're targeting wisely. You should only be targeting those very niched keywords such as funeral home near me, cremation near me, the near me search terms. Also the city-based search terms such as funeral homes, San Antonio, cremation, San Antonio. On top of that, targeting wisely, you want to target by geography. For example, you can target as small as 1 mile radius. Typically, most funeral homes, they might do a 5-mile radius from their funeral home. Or you can target by zip codes or open it up as much as you want by city names or counties. It doesn't cost you anything extra to grow in territory. So typically we advise start small as it works, keep expanding as you go. And if you have a traditional funeral home and you now also have a separate discount brand, right? That's totally separate, a discount brand. And if you don't want to compete with your existing firm, then you can also exclude your existing territory and only run ads outside of that radius. Then, of course, you want to carve out irresistible ads for people to grab people's attention. Then once they click on your ad, you want to send them to the right page within your website. So the framework is from the keyword they type in to the ad they see to the page they land on. Everything should be in sync for optimal conversion, right? If you're looking for cremation, the ad they see should be about cremation. The page they land on should be about cremation. So overall, Google Ads, it's a great way to generate ad calls, right? Because most likely imminent needs, they're not, right? If they do not know a funeral home, they're going to grab this tiny little device. They might type in funeral home near me. And with Google Ads, you can turn on or off at any given time. You can laser target, right, based on keywords and location. That's very cost effective. And overall, of course, can measure to know whether it's working or not. Next, let's move on to the non-paid section. I love the free stuff, okay? Let's talk about the non-paid section now. Non-paid section, again, typically you have ads up here, and then right below that, you will see local search here. It's very easy to identify. There's always a map tied to maximum of 3 business listing. Only 3, right? Again, how does Google know? So before we go over the algorithm as to what dictates who should be ranked in local search, it's besides just getting ranked in the 3-pack, in the industry we call this the 3-pack. Besides just getting ranked in the 3-pack, it's all based on reviews, right? These 3 businesses, which of these would you call first? Most families will call Oak Hill because it has the most amount of positive reviews. even though Brown Ronald is right at the top, I'm not going to call them, right? They're 3.7 stars. So once you're ranked in local search, you're exposed, right? Your reviews dictates whether they're going to call you or not. So we're going to talk a little more about reviews shortly. But there's really 3 core algorithms that Google looks at to see who should be ranked on first page of Google. First is going to be how complete is your business listing on Google. Each of your business, each of your physical location will have a directory page, will have a Google listing, and you got to make sure you fully complete, right, the listing. And it's very easy to update your listing. You go to google.com/business. google.com/business, and you can update your listing. Make sure name, address, phone number is all accurate. Make sure you set your hours of operation to be 24/7. This is so critical. There's quite a bit of firms I audit. They actually put their office hours there. What happens in the evening when people are looking for them? They show up as being closed. Of course, they're not closed, right? They're still opened. So do make sure you update this listing. Make sure you put 24/7. That's very, very critical. And second algorithm, not a surprise, are going to be reviews. And the reviews still only account for about 30% of the algorithm. But bet you Google is going to be more and more heavily weighting based on the reviews. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why in the world would Google promote a subpar business? So this algorithm, reviews are going to get more and more heavily weighted. So again, first algorithm is how complete is this listing. Make sure you go on google.com/business and update this. Right? Update more photos. Minimum you need 10. Second is reviews. Third is something called citations. Citation is mentioning of your name, address, and phone number across different directories. So the reason Google adopted this is it wants to stop spammers for opening a bunch of fake locations. So for example, plumbers typically do this in the good old days because plumbers, they serve multiple cities around their physical location. So what they do is they get fake PO boxes, they get mailboxes, etc. They just get fake addresses. And Google doesn't like that because according to Google, these business listings, you gotta be physically operated out of these locations. So how can it tell? What it does is it cross-reference other major directories, such as Facebook, Yelp, Yellow Pages, right, Info Group, all these major directories. If you're not listed there, most likely you're fake, right? Or if the information is inconsistent, now Google gets confused. And there's a nifty free tool. You go on moz.com/local. And once you go on there, it will generate a report for you to let you know, hey, which of these directories you have inconsistent information, which of these you haven't claimed. So it's a free tool, okay? Third thing here to watch out for is organic, right? So again, typically right at the top you have Google Ads, followed by local search, followed by organic. Unfortunately, organic gets further pushed further down on first page of Google now. So why does, right, organic search still matter? The only reason it still is critical is local search, you will only be ranked in that city where you're physically located. You will not be ranked in surrounding cities. But organic, you're not tied to your physical address. So you still can get ranked in surrounding cities organically. Of course, you can also buy ads in multiple cities, okay? But organic is free. Why not pay attention to it, right? So with organic, you got to be very, very careful here. And very often you'll hear people call this SEO, for search engine optimization. And I can probably, you get a lot of spam emails, not just you, I get that too, right? Of people telling you they can get you ranked on first page of Google in a very, very short amount of time. And those are all black hat tactics. Just means they're spamming Google search engine results to artificially push you up Google search. And Google doesn't like that because you're not using white hat tactics. You're not earning the rankings organically. So Google adopted a couple of core penalties. One is called penguin, the other one is called panda. Both of these are cuddly animals, but they're black and white in color. That's whenever you're doing shady practices, Google will de-rank you or very often just penalize you so you never show up anymore. So do be very careful. Whenever you hire SEO practitioners, many of them are just shady. So an easy test for you to know whether your existing agency is doing SEO for you is just to see whether they're ongoing adding content onto your website, because content is king. Google rewards content. So if you're not adding blogs or content on your website on a regular basis, for example, once a week, they're not doing SEO. So once you're ranked somehow on first page of Google, whether paid ads, locally, organically, they'll land on your website, right? So the better the website, the more likely they're going to call you. Even you're getting a lot of traffic from offline, from referrals, they all come to your website. So the better the website, the more likely they're going to call you. So let's go over a small checklist here. First of all is you got to make sure your website, the header part, everything is locked. It's sticky. It just sticks there. The main reason for doing that is subliminally, you're telling the family, for immediate needs, just call us, right? And when it's locked, that way as I scroll around the website, it's always there. The call to action is very, very clear, right? Especially on mobile devices. Mobile devices, the phone number should always stick right at the top. I audited probably 90% of websites, they still don't lock the phone number there. But by locking the phone number there, right at the top, right, no matter where I go now, as I swipe, it's always there. It's subliminally telling me, just tap this and call us. So gotta make sure your phone number is sticky right at the top. Next, of course, the faster the website loads, the higher the user experience. And Google has a tool, it's called Page Speed Insights. And it's free. You just type in your domain name, it will tell you how fast is your website loading. Again, the faster the website loads, the higher the user experience. The third thing you gotta have on your website is how are you different? Your unique selling proposition. How are you different? Because when I come to your website, ideally, you already tell me, wow, you're different. Now I don't have to exit out of your website, go onto your competitor's website and see how you're different. So just to drive the message across, if I go on Brock, doors and windows, right away I know how they're different. 85,000 installations, 29 years, 100 employees, serving Greater Toronto area, thousands of happy customers, right? So right away, subliminally, I'm like, wow, Brock, they're big, right? A lot of people love them. So ideally on your website, you got to add icons and something you can quantify, right? So for example, something like this. Ideally above the fold before people start scrolling down. And unique selling proposition-wise, also on your website, you might want to consider if you're dealing with a lot of discounters that are doing bait and switch practices, then consider adding a table on your website and just put check marks as to why you're charging, for example, $1,200. It covers all of these, where your competitors are charging $595, they don't include these. And the more credibility signals you can put on your website, the more likely they're going to call you. There's a lot of these review tools out there that will stream in all of the positive reviews you have out there. So consider getting one of those tools, right? Whenever I go to HatBigger's website, if I go to testimonials, I see, wow, 53 reviews, 4.8 stars. Now I'm sold. And also, if you do send out surveys, you get surveys back, type those out and put it on your website. You don't need all of them, maybe a good, 30 of those, put it on there. And we don't get a lot of these handwritten notes anymore, but if you do, scan those in and put it on your website. Right? These feel a lot more credible. And ideally, you should get video testimonials. Video testimonials have the highest trust, right? It's very hard to fake videos. And you shouldn't be hiring professional videographers. This is going to be your best friend. This is good enough, right? Just use this and just interview the family. Maybe 3 questions. First question is, how did you hear about us? Second question is, what services, do we do for your family? Third is, how likely are you going to refer us to your friends and family from a scale of 1 to 10? Now you got a video, right? You can put it on your website, and those feel a lot more credible. Number 5, now you ideally should have a professionally done 1-minute business profile video. These need to be professionally shot. No matter how many pictures, text on your website, those are great, by the way, but it's still hard for people to know how warm you are, right? So ideally, with a 1-minute video, people get to experience how warm you are. They get to visually see your facilities, videos of you on camera. Okay, so consider getting a 1-minute business profile video done, and they're not that expensive anymore. If you go on a website called smartshoot.com, you can hire local videographers to come to your funeral home and shoot these videos for you. And they only range about $500 to $700 these days. It's well worth the money. Once you got that video made, put it on your homepage, also in the About Us page, and also put it on your social media. These really do help you convert. Next, if they actually went on the About Us page on your website, that means they're trying to, again, figure out who you are, right? When you start a business, what services you perform, where you're located, and most likely why. So make sure to audit your About Us page. Make sure you answer the 5 W's. And faces means trust. You gotta make sure you have faces on your website. Even if it's a separate cremation website, still you gotta have faces on the website, right? Faces really means trust. If I go on a direct cremation website and I don't see any pictures on there, when their competitors do have pictures of the staff on there, or mainly just one staff member on there, now I actually do trust the one with the picture on there. And use consumer languages, right? I just want cremation, right? Direct cremation is it's not really a consumer-based, it's industry-based terminology. So make sure you're using consumer languages on your website, right? This one, for example, cremation and final goodbye, right? It's not, right? And now I know it's private family viewing with 30 minutes. So really study your GPO, right? Or your website, make sure you're using consumer languages that are easy to understand. Number 8 is Google Analytics. With Google Analytics, most of your website would have Google Analytics installed already. With Google Analytics, not only does it tell you how many people came to your website, how did they end up on your site? Did they came from search, offline, online, right? The most important thing we look at is something called exit rate. Exit rate is which page on your website that they visited and they're gone. So for example, the Contact Us page should have a high exit rate. That's the last page you visited, look up your phone number, and they're gone. But it's not normal to have a high exit rate, maybe on the services pages. So that allow us to ongoing improve your website. So really do study your analytics, because many of you do have nice looking website. But nice looking doesn't mean, right, that page is converting. That's how you can, again, ongoing improve your content. Then, right, once people go on your website, hopefully they call you right away. But very often they check out your online reviews. So, right, Google yourself, right? That's very, very simple. Just Google yourself and you will see very often these days, and that's what consumers do. They just, very often, they Google you, simply just look up your phone number. But very often, now they see your Google reviews, your Yelp reviews, and your Facebook reviews, right? They're not even looking for reviews. But these days, anytime you do a brand search, review sites always pop up on first page of Google. So there's no way to hide it anymore. Even if you have tons of good reviews on Google, and you're like, hey, people in my area, they don't use Yelp. And that could very well be true. But Yelp always shows up highly on first page of Google for brand-based search term. Same thing with Facebook. Even if you're not actively participating on Facebook, reviews stick out. Okay, that's why you got to make sure you have good reviews on Google, Facebook, and Yelp, with more emphasis on Google, of course. So Google reviews always shows up on the right-hand side. Facebook reviews always shows up, right, also within Facebook. Anytime somebody goes on a Facebook page, reviews sticks out. In Yelp, of course, reviews always shows up. So let's go over the framework as to what should you do whenever you get a negative review. The reason typically people go on, right, Google, Facebook, Yelp to leave a negative review is they want to be heard. Okay, so that window, right, you should definitely respond to it within 24 hours. And that is typically the bottleneck. Most funeral directors are not watching their reviews. And when families go on there to vent, and by the time the funeral director saw that negative review, it's too late. It could be a week that went by already. That's why you gotta be monitoring these reviews on a daily basis. When you get a negative review, first of all, you gotta cool down, right? We all don't take criticism well because we pour our heart out on these services. So you gotta make sure you walk away, grab a drink of water, and come back after you're a little bit cooled. Then all these networks, you get to send a private message to the reviewer. So for example, Yelp, you get to send a direct message to document that you indeed saw this negative review. Then you take it offline. You call up the family and hopefully you get to address it offline. And very often just miscommunication. Once they're happy, very often, you gotta trust me. Very often, once you're able to address this offline, they will come back on Yelp, Google, Facebook, they'll move it up from 1 star to 5 star. And this really does happen all the time. That's why you got to do damage control first, reach out to them, and then work it out with them, and then it will move it up to 5 star. But what if they don't move it up to 5 star? Now you want to follow up with a public comment. The public comment always shows up right below, right underneath their negative review. If you don't leave a public comment, whenever somebody saw this negative review, they might think it's real because nobody from the business actually responded to this. That's why you got to make sure if you're not able to move it up to 5 star, make sure to follow up with a public comment. Then step 3 is you get to flag it. Right below or right beside all these reviews, there's always a little flag there. You can flag it, and then now Yelp, Google, Facebook, they become the judge. Okay? And typically they will not take it down unless they know you actually reached out to the families. That's why sending a private message, you're documenting to Yelp that you did indeed reach out to them. So negative reviews. Positive reviews, there's a lot of ideas that you can it's to ask for reviews. But what I would say, this is going to the most critical. You got to call, have the funeral director call after the service. That phone call is so critical. That phone call, the objective of that is to figure out whether they're happy or not. If you're not happy, you just stopped a negative review from going online, right? You just stopped it, right? And the family will appreciate that you reach out to them and address it offline. So that phone call first always identify who is not happy. But if you know they're happy, then you can gently just ask them over the phone. Really appreciate if I can send you an email with a link for you to give us a feedback. That link sends them to the Google page, and they can leave a review there. And right, remember I said leave a feedback and not leave us a review. Feedback, now they're more like you're not bribing them. Now they'll go on there and leave you a positive feedback. Okay? And of course, there's survey tools out there. These tools, typically what they do is after a survey is done, you just enter in their name and email. It'll automatically send out an email on behalf of you. Once they open up the email, that's thumbs up or down. If they hit thumbs up, and now you give them multiple choices as to where to leave your reviews. If they hit thumbs down, now you know they're not happy. Now they can just contact you right away. So if you look at a lot of your competitors, if they have a lot of reviews, typically they're all using these survey tools. And the at-need journey, of course, right? Again, very simple. Make sure you're found on search, right? Good, high converting website, tons of good reviews that will drive phone calls. And of course, you want to make sure that your team, whoever answers the phone, knows how to answer the phone, how to deal with these price shoppers. And there's a couple resources. NFDA, if you reach out to Lacey Robinson, she has webinars or live training at seminars. At a convention, she typically does like how to deal with price shoppers. Julie Byrne also does that as well. But make sure you're training your team, you're role-playing with them, you're giving them some bullet point checklists on how to deal with price shopper calls. Next, let's talk about intent-based branding. And that is all of the top of the funnel, right? Because not too many people will wake up and go on Google and type in pre-plan my funeral. That really rarely happens. That's why all these marketing ads up here on top of the funnel, you're trying to bring them from an awareness state into awareness state. Unaware to awareness. That's what Facebook marketing, Facebook ads, display ads, banner ads, right? That's what they do, right? That's the purpose, right? When somebody drive by a billboard at that given moment, they don't need your services, but you're just building top of a mind awareness about pre-planning. Come to us later for pre-planning, right? So really, again, if you want to increase your ethnic calls, search is better suited for that. Social media, banner ads, things like that, digitally, those are mainly to bring those who aren't aware of you into awareness state. So let's deep dive and talk about social media. Social media, there really is, if you want to do social media the right way, there's something that we call the social success cycle. There's 4 quadrants. You always got to start out with quadrant 1, which is social listening. Social listening has got to be monitoring and responding to comments. Anytime somebody leave a comment on your social media account, whether positive or negative, you got to respond to it right away. Right? So kind of think it as a way you got to always be listening for what are people talking about your brand. And if you do not have an agency doing this for you, you should assign somebody within your staff, ideally a millennial. They're on this all the time. Have them be the community manager. Make sure they're monitoring, right? They're doing social listening for you. Next quadrant is social influencing. Social influencing is what most funeral homes worry about, is what type of content should you be posting on a regular basis to get engagement. So we'll talk a lot more about this. Next quadrant is social networking. Social networking in a traditional sense, that's what PR does. They're out there earning media mentions, building strategic partnership. Easily, you can do this yourself. Let's say you want to build a relationship with a local hospice. It's so easy. You start following them on social media. Anytime they post something, engage with it, right? Share their content, leave a wise comment, and then like it. Now, the rule of reciprocity will kick in. Now they're like, who is this ABC funeral home? Now, in return, they're going to start sharing your content, liking your content. Now, virtually, you guys create a bond. Now, when you call them up, they wouldn't know who you are. And then, of course, the relationship built offline. So this is a good way, at least, to get their attention. Quadrant 4, this is last. That's the mistake. What most people do is they sell on social media. That just turns people off. Okay? So really do minimize the selling on social media. And let's deep dive and look at social influencing. So what will engage, right? What type of content? And the easiest to explain this is let's look at large companies and see what they do. So typically large companies, they would have developed something called a topic map. And it's based on who is their ideal avatar. Who are they trying to get attention? So if you look at Rosetta Stone, right, we all know they sell language programs. This is their topic map, right? They know those who tend to buy from Rosetta Stone, they love to travel to foreign destinations. So they'll post a lot of inspirational photos like this. This is a charming village in Alsace, France. But if you read this, nothing on here talks about buy from us, right? It just turns people off. But it's constantly adding value, right, by content. But anytime somebody sees this, subliminally, right, now down the line, if I want to go to France, I should buy one of Rosetta Stone's French language program. So all this is like, it's adding value, right? But subliminally, you're selling them. So travel right? Those who tend to buy from Rosetta Stone, they love to experience different culture. So Rosetta Stone will post a lot of content about food, different food, music, holidays, history, learning theory, famous multilingual people, and etymology. Okay? That's a topic map. It doesn't mean Rosetta Stone don't deviate from these 5 topics, but these are the 5 core topics that will engage with their followers. One more example before we talk about funeral homes. We all know H&R Block, right? They do taxes. But if I follow H&R Block on social media and they just keep on pounding me, come to us for taxes, I'm gone. So it's trying to add value. So it posts regularly a lot of business finance tips, personal finance tips, saving for college, homeownership, employment. I will find this to be very valuable. That's why I follow H&R Block. It cares about me. Then down the line, right, anytime I engage with one of H&R Block's content, so I will be like, if I need tax advices, I should go to H&R Block. So let's talk about funeral homes. The mistake of funeral homes is constantly publishing a lot of content that is reminding them about they're gonna die, right? So for example, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing this, right? Majority of the content most funeral homes publish is pre-planning, grieving, all these type of content. That turns consumers off because they don't want to be constantly reminded they're gonna die. So what should you do? The demographics you're trying to reach, trying to engage with you, are going to be the AARP crowd, right? The AARP crowd, if you follow AARP's Facebook page, right, their followers are not different than yours for pre-planning purposes. You're trying to reach the same exact demographics. So if you reverse engineer what AARP does, these are the 5 topics. They publish a lot of content about healthy living tips for seniors. Retirement, what does retirement life looks like? Setting them up for retirement. Finance tips for seniors, right? How much do they need to save up for retirement? Traveling for seniors, entertainment for seniors. And this might seem a little awkward coming from a funeral home. It's actually not. If I'm a senior, if I see a healthy living tip coming from Acme Funeral Home, I'll be like, wow, Acme Funeral Home, they really do care about me. Then I will share the content, right? It doesn't mean you don't publish content about pre-planning, but 90% of content should be goodwill in nature. 10% will be a little bit selling messages. And the big 3 platform will be Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, with a little more emphasis on Facebook. For that AARP crowd, they're more on Facebook. And Facebook ads, right? These are Facebook marketing. You're publishing content. But you got these days, the organic reach is lousy on Facebook. What that means is, let's say you have 100 followers. Every time you post something on your funeral home Facebook page, you would expect that they all should be seeing your content, those 100 followers. But that's no longer true. Last year in 2019, organic reach was down to 5% already. That means if 100, right, 100 followers, only 5 of them will see your post. That's like nothing. Because Facebook is favoring friends and families' content to be showing up on the user's feed first versus commercial intent. So if it's commercial intent, you have to pay for the engagement these days. So these days, unfortunately, every time you post a content, you should be boosting it. But boosting is not to gain more followers. Boosting is to make sure your existing follower are seeing your content. That's when we boost, our main focus is boost to those who already liked your page. So now organic reach, right, which was only 5%, now maybe by putting in just a couple bucks, more of them will see your content. You can also run Facebook ads to drive pre-needs, right? Social media marketing, posting on a regular basis, just to keep engagement, top of mind awareness. You can also run Facebook ads, right? If you look at what Precoa does, right, they are very, very successful, right? They will run Facebook ads, right? Running for example, a pre-planning guide, a checklist, sending families to a page, a landing page, and they will fill out the information. But these are not super hot prospects. Precoa, they got a call center. Of course, they can start warm calling the families. But what we advocate a little bit more is slightly different. We only want a little bit hotter leads. So for example, run Facebook ads. Easily you can do this yourself, okay, by the way. You can run Facebook ads, but the ad should already spill out plan ahead, right? And run the ads to those who are 65 and plus, who are women, right? And for example, a mile radius. So you're only running this to a small demographics that will tend to buy pre-needs. All right, you can see these ads easily. Again, you can do this yourself, right? People love these ads, engage with it. And you send them to a landing page, okay? In the landing page, if you look at Precoa, it's mainly just a field to download a guide. But from all the tests we have done, you probably only want a little bit warmer, hotter leads who want pre-planning done right away. Or then you want to make sure the landing page actually is long form copy. You're really touching their emotion. Why pre-plan? Why pre-plan? Then we purposely put the form all the way down here because we only want those who are serious. Okay? And with Facebook ads, the mistake is to keep running these Facebook ads, right, forever. These ads, you probably should only run it up to 30 days because there's only so many people that's 65 and plus who are women in these, right, geography. If we keep pounding them, they get turned off, okay? So if you're running Facebook ads, just make sure to run it for 30 days. Pause it unless you change it now. You're promoting a seminar. You're promoting something differently. Or else they're going to get tired. Okay? And let me kind of wrap it up here. Since I'm running, yep. Okay. But one hack I just want to go over with you guys, it's a Facebook hack. More for pre-needs, more for aftercare, for example. If you have a list of the families, what you can do is you can upload that list, right? It will be name, email, phone number, for example. Once you upload that list onto Facebook, Facebook will match it and only run ads specifically to those families. So for example, if you really have a very active pre-need marketing pre-need program going, let's say the agent maybe sat down with these group of families already, but they weren't able to close them. You can upload that list onto Facebook, only run ads to those who they weren't able to close. Okay. So let me wrap it up with a recommendation here. If you really want to grow the ad need side of your business, really just focus on search, right? You can do Google Ads. It's very economical to run. Make sure you're ranked locally and organically. And the low-hanging fruit really is going to the website because a lot of people are coming to your website already. Really focus on the website before you even spend any penny, right? Any few dollars on Google Ads. Make sure to tweak your website first. Have stellar reviews. Reviews are free. You gotta focus on reviews. And of course, really train your staff to answer the phone, okay? Then social media is better suited for branding. getting the name out there slowly, right? Trying to bring those who aren't aware of pre-planning into awareness state. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Right, happy to put together a customized online marketing plan just cater for you. And thanks to Tyler over UPD Earns. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you later.